Hey, what's up guys? John here. Don't buy a home. It will keep you poor, and I really mean that. I think honestly if I started out with a house, I would be still in that house with no money and I'd have nothing going on. You know, I've been a real estate agent for 12 years, a real estate investor as well, and I study, I eat, sleep, and breathe real estate, and yet I still don't own a single family home. I'm not telling you to take that money and go invest it in a business or anything like that. I'm gonna share with you what you should be doing to really set yourself up for success in this video. That being said, please hit the like button, and YouTube essentially will get notified to share this with more people, and hopefully we can help more people make a smart financial decision. Also hit that subscribe button for more content around real estate, passive income, and money to help set you up for this upcoming recession. All right guys, let's begin. So why do you want to buy a house? Is it because you live in an apartment right now with your girlfriend or boyfriend, you have the dog, it's getting way too tight because you're both working from home now, and you want a bigger space, you both have some money together, you guys could park into a property. So why not buy a house and reap the tax benefits and get out of renting? Renting is a waste of money after all. Well, before we dive into the facts of why you shouldn't buy a house, I want to lay the foundation of this is the number one mindset for most people when they start out with wanting to buy a home. This is the reasoning behind wanting to buy, is that they want to get out of the apartment and get more space and unify a home with your significant other or spouse. Well, in times of trouble, in downturns and recessions, divorces increase greatly. And why they increase is because you now have more financial pressure. The economy is not as good. So with financial pressure, it leads to stress, aggravation, and ultimately division in families, which is a very unfortunate situation. But I think the healthiest thing to do right now is to plan accordingly and look at things for what they are. So that being said, you running out and buying a home with your significant other, with your girlfriend or boyfriend, is putting you in a position that if you get laid off, your significant other is carrying the entire debt of that property. And if their income alone can't carry that, then you could risk losing the house in foreclosure, which ultimately could be very bad for your relationship. So you're diving into this big mountain of debt that you're going to be paying every single month, and ultimately in this ever-changing world where no one can predict what's going to happen next, you're putting yourself in a very vulnerable position. And that's the last thing that I'd want to see anyone do. What I'd want to see someone do is buy an asset, buy something that is going to produce income every single month and alleviate monthly debt commitments, and do something that's going to be healthy and long-lasting for your relationship. And God forbid either of you got into any type of accident or was laid off forever and could never work again, and you passed on this property to your significant other, you would be in a position to feel absolute security knowing that your significant other would be completely set up financially. So that being said, let's begin with the facts of why you shouldn't buy a house. So let's say that you found a beautiful house, a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, white picket fence, beautiful front yard, backyard, and it's $300K. You need 20% down, and coincidentally you had it, $60K. So you put your 60 grand down into the house. You know, another 10K in your checking account, which is your reserves the lender's gonna wanna see, which will float you the next several mortgage payments. So you move forward, you buy this house, you feel really good, and then you realize you're flat broke. You gotta get back to work. So you're working hard, saving up as much money as you possibly can for that rainy day to not be house poor, because most people, they buy a house and they're house poor, and they're working very hard for the next few years to get themselves back to a place of having some savings, some type of nest egg. Well, smart real estate investors don't do that. And this is why they don't do it. Because when you buy that house, that $60K that you put as your down payment, you just killed that money. Now, you otherwise could have taken that money and invested it into another type of property, and that property could produce passive income. But not only that, you could then do what's called a cash out refinance, which is the most powerful tool that real estate investors use. So with a house, you're not able to do a cash out refinance unless the property magically appreciates, or you have a tremendous experience with flipping houses and remodeling properties, and you'll understand value, and you bought just an incredible deal, and the value skyrocketed, and you're able to call your mortgage lender out to the property, they'll reappraise the property and say, okay, you paid $300,000, now it's worth $500,000, and they'll go give you a loan on it, 70% loan to value. So they might give you a $400,000 total loan, you put $60K down, so they'll go ahead and give you a loan for $160,000. So you now have a lot of money. So you can go ahead and buy another house or a rental property, and you can do that. However, the odds of that happening like that are very unlikely, especially in this ever-changing world and economy. Odds are the value of that single-family home is going to plummet as foreclosures increase, bankruptcies and delinquencies, mortgage delinquencies increase, and supply exceeds the overall demand because, let's face it, mortgage lenders want to see 2 years stable income. In about 6 months, a lot of people are not going to have that. Even right now, a lot of people don't have it. So single-family home prices are likely to drop. But let's say that you instead bought another type of property, which is a rental property, a multifamily property. And you bought this property, but it's an affordable multifamily property around the same price point as the house. Let's say that you bought this property for $300,000, the same price, but it's way undervalued. I mean, really undervalued. It's really worth $500,000. So you buy it, you put your $60K down, same as the house, but you do some improvements to the property and the value really picks up. Now what you can do is you can call the lender back out to the property, and the lender's going to come out to the property, review how much value is in this building now, and they're going to give you a new loan based on this value. And you essentially are able to take your money that you put into this property back out of the property, maintain cash flow throughout all those units, go out and buy another piece of property, could be another rental property, and then obtain more cash flow on this, and then you can go buy a house, and these two buildings will pay for this house. I'm going to explain exactly how this whole thing will work right here, but essentially, if you do what I'm telling you, you're gonna be really an independent entrepreneur. You're going to be independent. You're not going to be dependent, which is what homeowners are. They're dependent on their boss. They're dependent on their clients. They're depending on people saying yes and paying them a weekly or monthly salary. So that is the last thing that you want to do, especially in this ever-changing world where everybody seems to be in a transitional spot where they're closing office locations, people are working remotely, and really operations are closing across the board, and things are going to change dramatically. The last thing you want to do is hop into a monthly commitment that you don't know if you're going to be able to really pay for, and especially in the next 5-10 years. When back in our parents' day, if they wanted to be a doctor or a lawyer or anything, they would know that that job's going to be there in 50 years or 60 years. Today, everything's changing so fast, you just don't know. You don't know what's going to happen and how it's all going to work. Okay, so here's how I think that everyone should be looking at real estate and real estate investing, especially when they first start out. So I think you should take out a piece of paper and write out all of your monthly expenses on this piece of paper. And you list out your health insurance, your cell phone, food, gas, credit card bills. You list everything out, all of your expenses. And when you add them up, what most people do is they just say that's life, that's the cost of living, and they'll live inside of their budget, or most people live outside of their budget. But that being said, when you buy a house, you're adding to that, and those expenses are essentially your enemy that you have to face every single month. Now, if you look at things the way that I'm telling you, I think ultimately you're going to live a happier life and a more prosperous life. So that being said, if you look at these like your enemy, you are focused more so on reducing these costs to zero. Now, this is how you do that. If you buy a single family home, you are setting yourself up to be a modern day slave, unfortunately, to your boss or to your clients or to your job. And you're going to be not as happy because you're locked down to this commitment. And as recessions happen and things happen, you're going to be more and more committed to this house. And if the market's down and you want to sell it, you can't because you'd lose money. Now, if instead you said, okay, my total expenses are, say, $3,000 a month. And if I buy a multi-unit property, a really good deal, after all my expenses, my overall monthly expenses might only now be $1,000 or $1,500. And that makes things so much easier when you break it into this type of framework, because then you realize you might only need one more deal after this deal to get your expenses to zero. And if your expenses are zero, you're now not focused on your job, you're focused on what can you do, what's the most high value thing you can do with your time. Maybe it's to start a dream business you've always had, maybe it's to travel, maybe it's whatever it is. You're able to be much more selective on how you spend your time and your life. And life is so short and things can happen. And it's just nice to have that freedom. So if you're making this sale to your significant other or whoever you're buying the house with, or maybe to yourself, just take this into consideration. Life is short. Don't take on too much debt and keep your expenses low and play long term. If you buy, say, a 4-unit property when you just start out, you can do an owner occupied, meaning it's a property that you move into, you live in, and the mortgage lender, rather than it being an investment property, will give you a very favorable interest rate. And you live in this unit, and the adjacent tenants pay the mortgage and help offset some of your other costs. It just starts making life so much more practical. And you can even look for properties where there's a single family house out front and then a duplex in the back, to where you still get that single family house that you want, but now you just have some help in the back helping you with your overall monthly expenses. And you simply just reverse engineer this. I'm telling you, you'll be so much happier and you'll definitely thank me. So if you want to learn more about real estate, click this. I'm going to ping my playlist, my real estate investing playlist here, and you can go through these videos. Teach you so much about real estate investing, different strategies, what you should be looking out for. It's completely 100% free. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentorship and you're looking to kind of have me review deals, you're more, I think, at that finish line, like you're getting ready to pull the trigger, you just like to get a second pair of eyes on it, then you can join my other mentorship program where we do weekly calls every single week. You can email me your deals and I'll walk you through the transaction step by step. So that being said, please hit the like button, drop your comments below, and subscribe. All right, guys, until next time.